Hi, this is Dave Cam. I'm the guy here at ibeamconsulting.com. The purpose of this very first video of mine is to walk through a Google Analytics 4 upgrade from an older Universal Analytics property to GA4, as all the cool kids call it. So we'll call it GA4. It's the same as Google Analytics 4. And I'm going to use an existing website that I own that has an existing Google Analytics property established for it. I've had it for years. It's for my own little personal photography website. And it's a good sort of a sandbox for doing this sort of example demo video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off the screen here. I'm going to click over to a combo screen here that shows my backup screen, my secondary screen, and then I'm just going to sort of hide over here in the corner. All right, so we can see now we've got the typical 3 columns going here for Google Analytics interface in the admin area. We've got 3 columns, one with the account settings, one with the property settings, and one with the view settings. This is the typical triple play of settings for Google Analytics in the admin area specifically. And normally you just start this with property settings and then work your way down. But here I've got this new message, and I knew this was coming because I knew that GA4 was coming down the pipeline. And sure enough, here in my screen here, I've got a message to upgrade to Google Analytics 4. So what I want to do now is just go ahead and click on that. So you can see here it says not connected, and that's expected. And there are a couple of options. You can create a new GA4 property, and that's what I'm going to do, or you can connect to an existing GA4 property. I don't have a GA4 property yet for this website, so I'm going to need to go through this process here of creating a new GA4 property. So this is what you see if you're in the same boat that I'm in with respect to analytics upgrade to GA4. So let's go ahead and hit click on Get Started, and we will see what happens. Okay, so this is interesting. We have a new sort of little pop-up modal here, and it presents a little wizard interface, which looks interesting. It'll do a few things for you. It looks like it's going to try to run a new GA4 property in parallel with the Universal Analytics that I currently have going. And I also have this interesting message that it can't enable data collection using existing tags. And I think that's because I have an older tag format on my property currently. All right, so here we've got this sort of dialog box here that talks about GA4 property and what this wizard is going to do and what it can't do. And we know that it's not going to be able to use my existing tags for some reason. I'm going to just go forward from here. I'm going to hit the Create Property button, and we will see what happens. Okay, here we are. It is doing something. Let's see how this goes. In a Setup Assistant, get the most out of your new property by reviewing the following settings and features. Okay, fine. Then there's a link here where you can learn more about GA4 properties. There's a bunch of different things here, with some navigation items here to learn more about different things, including tag installation, event measurement, user ID, enhanced measurement, activate Google Signals, property settings. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff to go through here. I opened up this box that says web stream details, and it gives me a bunch of stuff about my new stream, URL name, measurement ID, etc., which looks different from what I had before in the older Universal Analytics. So there's all this stuff here. I thought that what I was going to have to do was set up a global site tag, a Gtag.js piece of code on my website in order to get it to work. But then I went back to my original analytics interface, which I'm going to click over to here, and look at that. It now says that I'm connected, and it says I've successfully connected my properties. There's a link here to learn more. You can see your GA property with this little button here, and you can learn more. You can disconnect it here. So now I look at this screen and I'm like, oh, okay, it looks like I'm all set. So that's interesting. Maybe I don't have to jump through many hoops here, and maybe it's going to be able to use my existing tag in order to start showing data in the Google Analytics 4 interface. Now I look at the real-time view because I had opened up my photography website on a browser that wouldn't be blocked by IP address or whatever, and it wasn't showing up here. And then I got this dialog box, welcome to your new property, tells me something about the real-time report here, and then it says I've done steps 1 through 4, so continue at step 5, and then it gives you an option to go ahead and proceed with that next step. So I'm going to do that now, and let's see what happens when I click on this. Okay, so this is just a help document. It's about getting started with analytics, setting up Google Analytics for the first time, etc. There's some optional activities here. I don't think I want to go down this path at this point. It's a good article. It's got some essential information. There's a bunch of good navigation options further on the right-hand side here. So this looks very worthwhile, but I'm just going to pass on that for the moment. We're back to this thing here. I'm going to say got it on here, and that blows away that little dialog box. And we can see here the world in GA4 real-time view. What I'm going to also do is I'm going to pop up a, right here, this is just my photography website. I've opened it in Microsoft Edge. So I know that I'm not logged in or anything to Google on this particular web browser. And I'm going to hit Control F5 to refresh that. Let's go to Croatia. There's Croatia. Lovely country. I'm trying to see if I'm going to get any hits here. And it does not look like I am getting anything visible on the Google Analytics real-time interface for GA4. So that's fine. Let's go to the older interface. Let me just pop this down for the moment. Let's just minimize that actual website. If we go to this one, which is my original older Universal Analytics, and now let's go to real-time and overview, and I'm guessing we're going to see something here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's coming in just fine on my existing Universal Analytics real-time view, but on GA4, it's not showing up yet. The big question for me is, oops, sorry. Am I going to have to install my own Gtag.js, or is it going to be successful in using the older tag on the older Universal Analytics property type? So that is still a question for me. What really was interesting to me about Google Analytics 4 was the ability to have better event tracking automatically. If you look on this, you can see we've got a bunch of things that are checked to on here. Of course, page views by default. But now there's some scroll tracking going on, outbound click tracking, site search, video engagement, which I'm really excited about because I've got embedded videos on some of my websites, and then file downloads. What I'd like to see also is incremental scroll events. This looks like it only fires an event when a visitor gets to the bottom of a page. When you got long blog posts like I do on one of my other sites, my business site, I want to see when people get to the 25% mark, 50%, 75%, etc. And so I think incremental breakpoints for scroll tracking in GA4 would be fantastic. Outbound clicking is very good, so we'll see how that works out. And then these other things, video engagement, that's going to be, I think, very useful if it works well. File downloads is sort of a default event type. So that's what's going on. If you click here, you see these other types of events that are active now. Let's show something here in the admin area of GA4. Unlike the older GA, here you've only got two columns. You've got the account level here, and you've got the property level here. Used to be in the old one, you had the view level over here. In fact, if we pop over to that and go to admin, you can see you had account, you had property, and you had view. And you know, everybody's really used to that. If you go to the new analytics, you see the account level and you see the property column, but not the view column. So again, you've got old over here, you've got new over here. What's also interesting is if you expand this left panel, you can see sort of the standard things that everybody was used to in analytics: a real-time view, a bunch of audience reporting, a bunch of acquisition reporting, behavior, and conversions. We used to call this the ABCs of Google Analytics. You had audience and acquisition, you had behavior and conversions. That was pretty standard. That's what we were used to for a long time. Now in the new interface, it's way different. You've got now real-time up here. You've got a bunch of stuff called life cycle reporting, acquisition, engagement, monetization, retention, demographics, technology. You've got some event things going on here. So it's different. This reporting interface is definitely different compared to the old one. And we're just going to have to see and get used to it really over time as we migrate to GA4 and get comfortable with it going forward. There's also this cool thing, the Setup Assistant here, which lets you do different things, tag installation, a bunch of interesting things for enhanced measurement, etc., etc. Some things that I don't really need, especially for my little photography website, I'm not going to be linking to Google Ads. I'm not doing anything with BigQuery. I'm not defining audiences for remarketing. I might set up some conversions. I don't do e-commerce on the site. And so there's other things like that that I can basically ignore for this particular property. But it's nice to know that you've got this setup assistant over here to work with. And then there are other things you can do at the property level. So it's a little different here as well. So that is the admin area of Google Analytics 4. And here's the new layout for the reporting interface. The problem is when I jump on the website and I see real-time activity here, I was not seeing it reflected here. So I knew I had a problem, most likely a tagging problem. So I'm going to basically take my global site tag for my new GA4 property, and I'm going to go ahead and install it into my GeneratePress theme for my WordPress photo website. So let's try that and let's see how it goes. So here we have the global site tag. All I'm going to do here is copy it. I'm going to, copy it just using the right click copy function. And that gives me my Gtag.js. And then what I'm going to do is go into my photo website WordPress environment. And I use this theme called GeneratePress. It's a well-known theme. And it has in it something called the Elements feature. So let's go to that. And I'm going to add a new element. And what I want to add here in GeneratePress is a new hook. It's called a hook, and I'm going to hook this code into the header of the website, basically on every page of the site. And what I'm going to call this is GA4 tag code. And I'm going to do Control V here. That's going to dump it right into there. And it's going into the WP underscore head hook, which is basically up in the header area, which is where you want it. I don't need to execute any shortcodes or execute any PHP. It gives it a default priority of 10, which I think is fine. And display rules, I'm going to basically choose the entire site. That's a general setting here. I'm just going to make it active for the entire site at this point. It's got some exclude functions and some user-based roles and stuff like that, but I don't need any of that right now. So we're just going to do it for the entire site. And that's all we have to do. You can make some internal notes here too, which I'll go back and do that later just to make a historical note of what I did here and why. And that is pretty much it, folks. That's it for GeneratePress in the elements. I'm going to go ahead and publish this, and it's going to go through that. Hopefully going to give me some sort of success message. Yep, post published right up there. So that's cool. And there it is. It's as simple as that. It should now be published on my entire site. What I am going to do is, after making a change like this, is I'm going to clear all the cache on the site. I use WP fastest cache as my caching solution. And then I'm going to purge the SiteGround cache back at the hosting server. So a couple layers of cache there that I just like to clear out after I make changes like this. And then we will see what happens. I'm going to go back to the actual website, and in a minute we'll see if it picks up that code and if it now picks up my real-time activity. So that's next. So now what I want to do is I want to check to make sure that my new Google Analytics 4 tag has taken effect in my new GA4 property. So let's see what we got here. Here's my old analytics environment for my photo website. Here's my new one, and they're both showing zeros. Okay, so there's nothing going on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up Microsoft Edge browser. This one, I'm not signed into it or anything, so it's not going to ignore my activity on this site. So what I'm going to do is just a Control F5 on that. And let's bring that off screen for a moment. Let's see what happens here. Okay, and there you see it starts to pop in, and it's on the Italy travel photography page of my site. So now let's do another little thing here with my Edge browser. Let's pull this up, and now let's just go to the home page. And what we should see, tell you what, I'll drag this off here again. Yep. Okay, there we see it. The home page is coming in now. Okay, so it's tracking as I would expect it to track on my old Google Analytics. Now here's the big test. Let's check the new GA4 property and see what's going on there. There it is. Fantastic. Okay, so there's the Italy page showing up. My experience with GA4 Realtime is that it does lag a little bit compared to the older version. I'm not sure why that is, but could be because it's still in beta. Let's pop this. Oh, let's go in here. Okay, so I've got a much better map, by the way, in GA4 versus the old one for real-time view, which is pretty cool. But now you see all the different metrics that flow in for the GA4 property, at least in the default setup for this particular report, the real-time report. And what we should see, maybe I just do a refresh on that. Let's reload that. We should see that second page show up as well. While that's reloading, let's pop back to the old view. You can see this is marching along as usual. And if you look at the content, and then you look at last 30 minutes page views, there's the Italy page, there's the home page, etc., etc. So that's looking perfect. That's totally as expected in the old view. Now in the new one, okay, here we go. Now we've got the home page showing here, and we've got the Italy page showing here. So this is basically proof positive that my new Gtag in my website is working just fine. And now I'm going to see data flowing both in the old analytics environment and in the new one. And as people visit my website, I should be able to see that as well in both environments. That's about it for this test. Here again is the web stream details where I pulled up my Gtag information right here. Just copy and paste that into my website header. I did that through GeneratePress, my theme, and through the elements features of GeneratePress. For now, I'm happy. It looks like it worked flawlessly, and I'm looking forward to experimenting more with GA4. And if you are there yet, or already, drop a comment for me here. Let me know how it went for you. And if you're not there yet, don't fret too much. It's early days for GA4, but now's a good time to jump on the bandwagon. And I thank you for watching. This is just an example of what you're going to see as you try to move to GA4. Keep an eye on my YouTube channel because I will be exploring it further as I go. So feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want. I've got more stuff I'm going to be cranking out. If you want to get in touch with me, you can go over here and you can get in touch this way as well. Give me a comment if you have anything to comment on. Otherwise, I will hope to see you again next time around. Be safe, be well, and I'll catch you later.